Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Summer Jazz Spears. If I'm here, give you a word on tonight. And we still talking about Peter. And Peter miracles escape from prison. It go, excuse me. It's gonna come for a powerful prayer. You know, Peter is a praying person. He's that rock that Jesus. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on right now. Now, he gonna be in prison. And he gonna escape prison. I escaped prison, but God gonna send his angels to help him get out. So it is gonna come from Acts chapter 12, 1 through 19. Now it was about this time that the King Herod arrested some who belongs to the church, extended to prosecute them. So Herod who beheaded John and now has commended himself to the Jews' leader by protecting their religion, ended himself further by arresting and and James also, the brother of John. Now Herod is the one had John head cut off, really his wife. His wife had she had so much anger, towards John. She hated John, So it was her daughter's birthday, and she told her daughter to have him to put James' head on a platter, So Peter gonna keep on letting him know, use the one that put John's head on a platter, and also he wants to prosecute anyone that's in the church, at the church, outside praying and talking about Jesus, So he had James, the brother of John, to put to death with the sword. Now we see that he is eager to do James in because he is the brother of John. He already killed John, and James is the brother of John. So when he saw that this meant, with approval among the Jews, now he proceeded to size Peter also. This because Peter is with John. He wants to besides Peter also. So this happened during the festival of the unleavened bread, and they're gonna be trying to rush to do all this here before the festival. So he wanted this to happen, during the festival unleavened bread to have approval to size Peter and James. So after arresting him, now he put him in prison, handed him over to be guarded by 4 squads, to bring him out for public trial after the Passover. So they were having a festival. They wanted it done during the festival. And after the Passover, they wanted to be public. They want to prosecute them in public. So now they arrested Peter, all 4 soldiers. Now they had all soldiers, at each one of the gates. Now each who had the care of the prison, each company had taken in turn for one of the 4 matches of the night. So they had to watch the gate, because you got Peter, you got James up in there, So Peter was kept in prison, but the church were eager, was still praying, to God for them, so that the first thing you do is pray. You got to pray for everything these days. You got to pray for everything, and because there's power in praying. So why Peter, in prison, the church member has started praying, and it's very powerful when a group of us pray together. And you really ain't got to pray together. You could call family member. That's a pray for the family. He could be at his house, I could be here, and the prayers will still go up. So Herod had Peter arrested during the Passover celebration. Now there was a strange move because more Jews was in the city, as usual. So then Herod could oppress a good number of people. So Herod planned to execute Peter just like James you know. So he already prosecuted James already, you know. But the believer was praying for Peter, so Peter was still left. You know, you remember Peter and James went in together. So he wanted to do James because they already killed his brother John. So that's why James had went first, you know, and Peter was still left. They didn't touch Peter yet. But the believer was praying for Peter safety. Now, the prayers of the church affected the outcome of these events. Now, we don't understand how prayers work, but the Lord responded to the believer in prayers and sent an angel to release Peter from prison. See how powerful prayers is. You know, them church members was out there. They still was praying. You know, while they was taking Peter and James in, they started praying, but they did James the same way they did his brother. They wanted to get him first, you know, because of his brother. So everybody else was out there praying for Peter's safety. And God heard their prayers, responded to the believer. Prayers had sent the angels. God sent the angels to release Peter from prison. You know, so the night before Herod, you know, was to bring him to trial. Peter was sleeping between the soldiers' mind, you know, with two chains, two chains that stood guard at the entrance. You know, so suddenly, an angel of the Lord had appeared, you know, and a light had shined in the cell. You know, now he struck Peter. Remember, Peter was asleep. He struck Peter on the side and woke him up. And quickly, he get up and he said, now he getting up, he trying to wonder what's going on, you know. But now he's might be still sleeping and thinking he imagining something, you know, because they had to wake him up, you know. So God had sent an angel to rescue Peter, and the angel of God messenger. You know, there's a divine creature that's being with a supernatural power. And they sometimes take on a human appearance in order to talk to people. You know, so angels should not be worshiping because they are not divine. You know, now we see that prayers work. You know, for Peter, you know, Peter had prayed, and the people with church, you know, they prayed, you know, and went up to God. Now we see that God came to his rescue, you know, by sending his angels. You know, so then the angel had said to him, put on your clothes. Remember, he was knocked out asleep. You know, he said, put on your clothes. Put on your clothes, you need to put on your sandals. And Peter did so. You know, he wrapped his coat around him. You know, follow me, the angel had told him. Peter had followed him out of the prison. But he had no idea that what the angel was doing was really happening. He was asleep. They woke him up. You know, so he thinking he's still seeing a vision or something, or he's still thinking he's sleeping and he don't know what's going on. But when he get outside the gate, he realized, okay, this is really happening. You know, and he thought he was seeing a vision. You know, but Peter had been sleeping in prison, and his execution is scheduled for the next day public. You know, so James had already had been beheaded because they did him the same way they did his brother. You know, so when an angel had awakened him and his chain fell off, Peter is likely Daisy, you know, because from waking up he didn't walk all the way up yet. You know, yes, in fact, he think it's a vision or a dream. Now, this time the angel had to tell him exactly what to do. Dress, you know, dress for fight. You know, get dressed for action. You know, so the angel telling him, you know, you need to get dressed. You need to get dressed like you about to fight. You know, get dressed. Put your shoes on, you know. So when he had saw the angels and telling him to get up, the whole time he thought it was a vision, and he didn't realize it would actually happen. You know, he just thought it was a vision. He thought he was just still dreaming. You know, but it's actually happened. You know, so they had passed the first, second guard and came to the iron gate leading to the city. Now it opened for them by himself. The gate start open, chains start coming off him. So then by itself, he went through it, and when they had walked the length one street, suddenly the angel left him. See, the angel job was done. Now God sent the angel to escort him out of the prison. Once she got him out of the prison, the angel was gone. He turned around, okay. The angel was gone. The angel job was done. The angel job was done. Suddenly the angel had left. So Jerusalem was surrounded by 3 walls. So they passed through the gates of these 3 walls sensitive. So now, so while Peter sleeping, between 2 soldiers, bind with 2 chains, and stood the guard at the entrance, suddenly an angel of the Lord had appeared, in a light, the stone in the cell. Now he struck Peter on the side to wake him up. So now there were 16 soldiers, but didn't realize Peter is outside of the gate. Guarded Peter. But Peter guarded by soldiers, but when God, no matter how many people is guarding you, no matter how many people is around you, supposed to be watching over you, they cannot stop God. They cannot stop God's angels that sent them down here. They had 6 soldiers, and they wake up, Peter is gone. So Peter guarded by soldiers, but when God sent his angels, the chain fell off. The gate just started opening up by itself. And so no matter how many men they had around Peter, because see, they wanted to prosecute him that morning public. See, God already had to come before morning got here. So the gate opened up itself. So when the angels to guard him outside of the gate, then the angel job was done. So then Peter had came to himself and said, now send his angels and rescue me from Herod clutches and from everything the Jewish people, was hoping for. So they prayed. They prayed this day to happen, for Peter to escape so they see that God came through for him. They was praying for Peter, and now they see that God had came through for him. God had answered their prayers. God came at a nick of time because they was going to prosecute Peter that morning public, and God stopped it. God had stopped it. God was gonna not let Peter go down like that. So when this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, and also called Mark, where many people had gathered and was praying, still praying. We see how prayers work. You got to keep on praying. Just like I said on the last practice. You got to keep on praying. Now, they released Peter, but they're still praying, and that's how you got to do. This because your answer had been heard, you still don't stop praying. You got to still pray every day, all day if you have to. So when Peter was free, he went straight by John's mother house. So when he arrived, they all was praying. Because you remember John and James, his brothers, and they did James the same way they did John. That's why he went straight by his mother house to tell him, because they was together. They went in together, but this only one came out. So the angels had just rescued Peter from prison a moment before Herod had planned on having them escorted to execution. Now you say how God works. God always right on time. Always. A few hours later, they was going to prosecute him, execute him in the morning, public. And God came in the nick of time to stop it. So having him escorted to execution instead of Peter going to hide. Now, he walked out of prison. He didn't run. He walked. Now, instead of him running and going hiding somewhere, you done escape from prison, he's not scared at all. he walked to somebody, he walked to Jonah's house to let their mama know what happened to James. You know, and escort him, you know, instead of Peter running and hiding. But he wanted the church to know that he is okay. Because, see, the church was praying for him. The church hadn't left him. Do you remember they was outside praying? So then they left and went, you know, back to the church and started praying again. You know, so Peter had wanted them to know, okay, I'm okay, y'all. I know y'all was praying for me. I'm okay. I'm out. You know, so he wanted the church to know that he is okay. You know, he goes to the home of Mary, the mother of John. You know, so we see that the power of prayer, you know, that reached up to heaven, you know, was God. It was God who had sent the angel, you know, to Peter to rescue him. You know, so Peter knocked at the other entrance, and a servant named Rhonda had came to answer the door. Now, all they know that Peter's in jail, you know, but now he's knocking at the door. Knocking at the door. You know, so when she recognized Peter's voice, you know, she was so overwhelmed that she, you know, she ran back without opening. And it claimed it, you know, that Peter is at the door. Now, Peter knocking at the door. Instead of her opening the door, all she know he in jail. You know, instead of her opening the door, she just went running to the back. It's Peter at the door. You know, so the servant rider now, they knew that Peter was in prison. You know, so when he knocking on the door, she full of joy, you know, but she still didn't open the door. Peter is at the door. She started telling him Peter at the door. Peter started knocking and she still not opening the door. You know, so you out of your mind, they told her. When she kept insisting that it was so, they said it must be his angel. They really, you know, realized that was Peter at the door. Now they're saying the power of angel, you know, that she didn't want to believe that Peter at the door, but thought it was an angel. You know, so now they still, you know, did not open. There's still discussion if that's Peter or that's an angel. Now he's been out there still knocking on the door trying to get in. And now they're still not opening the door. But all they know that Peter was in jail. But Peter kept on knocking. And when Peter, you know, had opened, when they did open the door and they saw that, you know, it was Peter, they was astonished. You know, there was surprise, you know. Now when Peter had went to many houses and let his friends, you know that he's safe. Many servant Rhonda, you know, was so excited to see Peter. She left him outside of the gate and rushed to tell the prayer worker. You know, they assumed that Rhonda was mistaken, you know, and they thought it must be Peter, you know, God and his angel. They started thinking it was the angel because they're out there praying for Peter. They said Peter in jail. He can't be at the door. You know, so Peter had mentioned with his hand for them to be quiet and describe how the Lord had brought him out of prison. Now, they're so surprised to see Peter. Now, and Peter is so anxious to tell them how he escaped from prison. You know, he wanted to say the good news that how God got him out of prison. You know, to also tell them the Lord had brought me out of prison. Tell James and the other brothers and sisters about this that he said, and then he left for another place. Now he making his rounds. You know, now James was here, and Jesus had brother. You know, so he led the church in Jerusalem, and James rejected the idea that his brother was a Messiah before his death. Now, that was Jesus' half brother James. And and before Jesus died, he did not tell Jesus. Because remember, Jesus had went back home. You know, they didn't want to honor him. You know, the brothers didn't want to honor him. Nobody didn't want to pay him no attention, you know, when he came back home. You know, and so the brother rejected the idea that his brother was a Messiah, So he had so much pride. He really didn't want to suck it in, get it sucked in that Jesus was a Messiah, and he'd have let him die without him telling Jesus, I'm sorry. So before his death, so he believed after he saw Jesus raising from the dead, James led the church. That's why all was by him praying. So Peter said, let James know he is okay. So in the morning, there was no small commotion among the soldiers as to what had become of Peter. So after Peter escaped, Herod had cross examination by the guards and ruthlessly ordered their execution. Because, see, if he had the guards, by the gate to monitor them, to watch them, and their escape, they allow to execute them. That was their law, And so in that day, if a guard permitted a prisoner to escape, Roman law required that he receive the same punishment that the prisoner would have received. So now the next morning, Peter was supposed to be executed, but when they had went, Peter was gone. So when they went to the cell, Peter was gone. He started cross-examination all his guards. So after Herod had thoroughly searched and made for him and did not find him, he cross-examined the guards in order that they be executed. So they don't understand, the power of prayer. They wanted to execute Peter for no reason, because he teaching the church, because he was teaching the people in the church, and all the people in the church came together in prayer. And Peter in the cell praying also, that we see prayers work, and it's very powerful. And so Peter had to let them know, let them know we right here. That's gonna be the second part, that Peter was willing to go back and help the guard from not getting executed. Peter, that's how much of a good. Remember Peter, God said, I'm gonna make you a rock. You're gonna be that rock. And see, Peter is that rock. When he go to jail, he get prosecuted and all that, he happy. Because remember, he denied Jesus. And so now he'll do anything that's lined up with Jesus. If he got to get prosecuted from teaching his word, he gonna do that. So he went back to help the guards from not getting executed. Let them know we right here. So that's a story on Peter escaped from prison, and it's all about praying. You know, he was praying. He was praying with the church. The church got into groups and started praying for Peter. Praying for Peter. Next thing you know, God heard their prayers and sent the angels down. And when the angels came, the angels woke him up, put some clothes and shoes on. Soon as he stood up, the chains started falling off. The gates started opening up. That's power. It's a power from God. When you pray from your heart, it will go up to heaven. So that's all the word I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed same night. And I see no matter what situation going on, always pray. And just don't pray at one time. And don't pray just because God answered your prayer. Cause see, when Peter was out, they still was praying. Which they didn't even know he was out, but you got to keep on praying. Looks like that widow just kept on praying. She kept on getting a no, just kept on praying. You got to keep on praying till you see deliverance. So that's all I have for you, dear. You have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all in the next video.